Hello and welcome to the TeamLease webinar series in which we, we discuss burning issues related with HR, that is human capital, and how we are going to move into the future and come up with more practical solutions. We discuss burning problems and solutions. Today's webinar's topic is unlocking the talent treasure. Okay. Uh, This topic is very, very important because whatever is done for the employees actually converts into business, right? There's a book by HCL founder called Employees First, Customer Second. Yeah. So that actually is the foundation of this discussion, that how do we take best out of our talent and add into the top line as well as bottom line of the organization. Yeah. Uh, and we're talking about this particularly for BFSI industry. So today's session is mostly focused on BFSI and how do we unlock the talent treasure. When we are talking about BFSI plays a pivotal role in growth of any country's GDP, right? Be it an individual taking a loan and buying a car or home or a refrigerator for that matter. Actually, that is two ways helpful for the country's GDP. One, they're taking loans and they're adding, as a consumer, they're adding that money into the GDP of the country, right? And second, when we talk about B2B loans, they are mostly going to be asset creation for generating more value addition in the organization as well as to the GDP, right? So BFSI is pivotal. First thing. Second, if we talk about how we have grown in last 5 years post pandemic, in the last 5 years alone, the whole BFSI industry has seen tremendous growth. Banks have grown by 12 to 14% CAGR in last 5 years. NBFCs about 18%. Uh, and to my surprise, credit card has grown 20%. Honestly, I've been using credit card for good about 20 odd years. And when UPI or the Bheem came, I had, reduced my expenditure on credit card, and I have been thinking about the feasibility or usage of my credit card. And when I was doing this research, I realized that 20% sale of credit card, growth, CAGR growth of credit card sales is quite phenomenal, so to say. Uh, and not just that, digital payments have grown by 29% in last 5 years. And if you look at the volume and value of UPI payment alone, it's more than 100%. 129% to be more, 129%, yes, to be more precise. Yeah. So, and all these are actually adding to the top line of our GDP growth. At the same time, they're actually building the infrastructure for the future growth also. I was just reading, I think today morning, one ministry has come out with a report which talks about the digital infrastructure and digital commerce kind of platforms. And that is also going to grow from 12% to 20% by 2030. So it's a huge, huge growth that we are looking at. And when we are trying to be a 5 trillion economy by maybe a year or two, and targeting a $35 trillion economy by 2047, BFSI is going to be the foundation stone on which we are going to grow. Having said that, it's not that this growth is going to happen by its own, until at least until we get AI agents working for us. Until AI agents start working for us, we need people to do that, right? And when there are people, there are challenges, right? Like getting right people, okay? Training them, if we don't get right kind of people, whoever we got, how do we train them? How do we make them productive? Plus, how do we get the best out of it by nurturing them, retaining them, engaging with them, and so on and so forth. Yeah. In today's session, we are going to talk about all these pressing issues, especially for BFSI industry. And for that, I have two distinguished participants from the industry. And I'm honored, truly honored to have them on board to discuss these key challenges and opportunities and relevant solutions within the industry. So I have Gurusharan from India Post Payment Bank. Welcome, Gurusharan. Thank you so much for joining us. Why don't you introduce yourself in brief, Gurusharan?
Yeah, I am Gursharan Bansal. I am Chief General Manager and Chief Sales and Marketing Officer with India Post Payments Bank. And I'm happy to join you on this conversation and throw some insights or maybe learn from the panelists and yourself regarding the challenges and the way we can create an impact in uh, on the hiring and unlocking the hiring on the talent pool.
Okay. Thank you so much, Guru Sharan. And we have Parul Sehgal. She actually is she heads collections at Ujjivan Finance. I was just talking to Parul separately also that BFSI industry itself is facing about 25% attrition. I'm talking about 2024 years data. India Inc. is at 17%, BFSI alone is at 25%. And I'm honored and truly delighted to meet Parul. Parul has built her career in Ujjivan Finance for more than a decade. So thank you so much, Parul, for joining us. Why don't you introduce yourself, Parul?
Yeah, yeah. So thanks, Praveen. Thank you for this opportunity. So as Praveen said, I am Parul, and I am the Senior Vice President in Ujjivan Small Finance Bank, and currently I'm heading collections for the bank. And it's been almost 14 years that I'm associated with the same organization, and I've worked in finance, I worked in credit, and currently I'm working for the collections. So I think it has been a truly a great journey for me because the organization has given me the 360-degree and the holistic view of things, and I'm sure that most of the people know that Ujjivan is one of the best place to work for, and they truly justify with this, and that's the reason for me to stay here for more than a decade now. um, so thanks, Praveen, and I think the today's topic, the unlocking the treasure, talent treasure. I hope that I'll be able to contribute to this particular topic, as we are seeing that it is one of the predominant topic of discussion nowadays, especially for BFSI sector. Thanks.
Great. Thank you so much for your introduction. And with the kind of experience both of you bring on table, particularly from BFSI industry alone, I'm pretty sure that we are going to learn a lot from today's discussion. So, without further ado, let me just jump into the first discussion point, which is demand supply gap in the workforce as far as entry level jobs are concerned. I'll give you one statistic from our own internal analysis and research. Uh, because we are working with almost every kind of subsector within BFSI, we know that on a monthly basis there is a gap or requirement of about 25 to 30% of open positions that do not get fulfilled or filled. Okay, so there are open positions, but we don't find people for those. Okay, so especially for entry level talent. Okay, so uh, uh, I'll let me just ask Parul. Parul, how do uh, number one, what is the cause of such kind of challenges, and how you people are tackling this kind of challenges and issue in your organization on day-to-day basis?
Praveen, before I jump into the causes or challenges, I mean,
Mhm.
to start with, to continue with what you were saying, I think the Indian employment sector is experiencing unprecedented growth and is emerging as one of the major Bulgian economies globally. It is driven by multiple macro factors, like what you were saying. The robust GDP growth rate, which hovers around 7%, the strategic investments that are coming, the digital transformation, financial inclusion initiative, policy reforms. So all these things are happening, and I think this rapid expansion, however, presents a critical challenge, which is a significant talent gap. Now, for the industry, the BFSI sector, attracting, developing, and retaining top talent has become paramount for sector's continued success. So when you ask me the reason, I think in my view, the first and foremost cause of the talent supply gap comes from the technological advancement. As this is rapidly shaping workforce dynamics significantly. While we all agree that these automations can enhance the efficiency and productivity, it also displaces certain roles requiring workforce redeployment and development of new skill sets. You were also mentioning, and I totally agree to what you were saying, the rapid rise of technologies like AI, ML, your cyber security, cloud computing. This has created a demand for highly specialized skills, which often creates a skill mismatch, as the current workforce often lacks the necessary digital literacy and technical expertise to meet these evolving needs. And the speed of technological advancement is also, it is outpacing the ability of educational institution, your technological training programs, to adapt to the updated requirement. This creates a constant need for upskilling, reskilling, and it poses a significant challenge for both individual as well as the organization, thereby creating a gap. Second, I would say the domain expertise. While I say that technical skill is important, it's crucial. So deep domain knowledge of financial regulation, your risk management, your regulatory framework, your customer behavior, they remain very essential for the success. And the third point, if I have to say, it's the shifting employee expectation. The millennials and Gen Z, they prioritize work life balance, they expect flexibility, they want meaningful work. So traditional employment models may not be sufficient to attract these talents, attract and retain this talent pool. There's an increased attraction towards purpose driven career, and employees, they increasingly seek roles that align with their values. And lastly, if I have to summarize, the intense competition, the competition has become so fierce, not just in the industry but from the other industry also, particularly the technology company, for top talent. Plus the global market is becoming increasingly competitive, making it challenging to attract and retain top talent within India. So I think that's the broad causes which are there.
I mean, awesome. Actually, that's very, very insightful. So, Gurusharan, if you can throw some light from the perspective of your experience, you have been with Tata AIG, and you have been with various financial services institutions. I mean, in all
Yeah.
2+ decades, you have been with different, different subsectors within BFSI alone. So, what do you see as root cause? Because last 5 years, COVID has changed almost everything for us,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So what do you see that, what has changed and what are the root causes of such supply gap?
So, see, I would, agree with Parul to a large extent that, there is, huge demand supply gap. And also in terms of the expectations and the Gen Zs and the millennials, expectations from the job roles. They need more meaningful roles, work-life balance, etc., etc., etc. I would say that in my experience, what has happened is that, entry level, as we are talking about, let us consider it on two grounds, right? One ground is in terms of the entry level, talent, which is required for our off roles guys, or we can see the feet on street that we hire. And you would agree to the fact that, in the kind of industry that we are in, right? Be it in the BFSI sector, whatever industry, maybe in a bank like ours, maybe in the insurance sector, maybe in the in the payment sector or whatever, all related to the BFSI sector, we need a huge amount of feet on street, right? And
Right.
the second is in terms of the entry level, in terms of the banks like us, right? Wherein, a bank like India Post Payment Bank, wherein we fill the entry level staff with options or openings at the clerical level, which is scale 0 or scale 1, right? When we advertise for these scale 0 or scale 1 positions, for let us say even 1,000 positions, we will have maybe lakhs of applications, right? So therefore, in terms of the candidates applying for these kind of jobs, maybe looking at the it's a government job, or it is more stable, comfortable, more secure, right? Those kind of things. So people, they want to apply, and they do apply. In terms of the feet and street, again, we find that, one, it is very difficult for us to locate the right kind of talent. Like, for example, let's say TeamLease, for example, you are hiring for us for the Udan resources, which are entry level, and the resources which are developing our BC, individual BC segment.
Right.
So for that, being the salary being at the entry level salaries, and the kind of this thing, one, we find that most of the talent that we get is either they are not really clear about the job roles, right? What they are expected to do, and besides, they are not clear about the incentive structures and the variable components of the job, right? And the kind of learnings and the kind of experience that we want, maybe. And maybe we're willing to take freshers also. Most of the time we are willing to take freshers also at that level. But we need to see the kind of potential, whether they have the potential to learn, right? So again, coming back to the entry level, again, sometimes it so happens that the churning or the turnover of the people at this level is high, because, one, either they are not able to cope up with the kind of work pressure that we have, because they have certain, at that point of time, they have certain discipline to be met, certain number of sales calls to be met, or whatever. I mean, they have certain requirements to be fulfilled, and to achieve certain goals, targets within the next 3 months, 6 months, etc., and they're not able to meet, and therefore there's a lot of churn. Either we throw them out, or they go themselves out. But those who stay, and those who learn, who pick up, also depends, again, it also depends, one, on the supervisor, on the organization's procedures and processes of training these guys, imbibing or inducting these guys. And immediate supervisor also plays a very, very crucial role over there, right? Because I've
So
seen
yes,
that there are supervisors who are able to retain guys, there are supervisors who are not able to retain guys. So again, I mean, there's such a mix of reasons कि प्रॉब्लम ये होती है हम लोग को एज हायरर्स, there is a lot of supply, but we are not able to pinpoint the right talent. Similarly, for the employee, or the guy who wants to get hired, he is also in search of a lot of employers, but he's not able to pinpoint or get into the right kind of employment. There's always a gap. So एक वो churn उसमें चलता रहता है. And but I would also say that जो है ना, जो आज की तारीख में, for good companies and for the good opportunities, there is no dearth of the supply.
correct,
And
correct.
all you have to do is approach the right kind of methods, approach the right kind of ways and means how to get good talent. And इंडिया में कमी नहीं है आदमियों की, लोगों की, बंदे खूब
Correct.
मिलते हैं.
So, Guru, actually, you have actually preempted me to the next point. Uh,
Hmm.
that what are the innovative ways in which organizations can tap those unidentified or unidentifying and unidentifiable uh, prospects or employees. But before that,
Right.
I just would want to understand from each one of you in brief that maybe one or two impacts that
Mhm.
this skill gap and the availability gap is making an impact on your business. Maybe it could be on top line, it could be on bottom line, it could be on any operations. Uh, so, Parul, what kind of impact it has made on your business?
Every year, a considerable chunk of budget is placed toward training and development for the employees. And we have a massive training program for every designation, starting from your entry level to your top management. So, this is one of the very foremost principle for in our organization, to train the people not just on your subject or domain, but then there are soft skill trainings also. There are other, online courses also. So for us, the learning is a constant thing which we have been doing from last so many years. So that's the reason I wouldn't say that we get impacted, because this is one area which we have been able to crack very well.
And probably that's why you are the best place to work.
Correct, correct. I was coming to that point, but you mentioned that before me.
Good, good. Gulshan, what is your point of view? What kind of impact you have seen because you are having that skill gap and therefore people are not there at your entry level, the feet on
Yeah.
street.
So I would again say that the kind of modules that we have understood and we have designed, right, for our entry level staff and the people, and not only at the entry level, as Parul is saying, that we also have carved out a decent amount of budget and we have carved out programs, and today we are even doing as much as that. If we want to do a program, let's say, or a course or a program at all levels, let's say middle management, senior management, even at the junior level, you can actually write to the HR, enroll yourself for that program, do that program, and also get yourself upskilled or reskilled or whatever. And the organization will reimburse you for that. There are certain conditions that you have to stay at least 2 years after you complete your program, otherwise you'll have to proportionately pay back. Those kind of things are there. But what I'm saying is that जो gap है ना, in terms of not being able to fulfill or fill up those certain positions because of the churn and because of the maybe there's a mismatch in terms of the expectations versus the actual job requirements. So those kind of things, they keep on happening. It's part of the this thing. In fact, the way to locate, I have always and continuously kept hiring, harping on with our team, is that we have to source the talent, especially the kind of talent that we need from B category schools, or C category schools, colleges, or I would say colleges, and hire interns, get to interact and work with those people, so that we have a certain base in terms of, or a pool in terms of the talent available in case somebody leaves. And therefore we keep on refilling, rehiring, and not depend only on the TeamLease for giving us the source of candidates.
So basically, you gave some hints about the untapped talent sources.
Yes,
Which is where,
yes,
yeah, which
yes.
is where we were planning to go. That okay.
Yeah, yeah.
See, how we have seen as TeamLease is that the BFSI sector itself has introduced a lot of products and services. Point one,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
point
Hmm.
two, the BFSI sector is actually going to the next level. That is predominant. I'll just give you an example of a broking. Yeah, share broking.
Hmm.
Mostly the trading was happening from tier one and tier two cities. Okay.
Hmm.
Now the push or the evolution is towards tier three, tier four, right? So this is
Correct.
where the evolution is happening. Uh, so how do we get people? One, for new types of products and services, they are not traditional. And number
Hmm. Hmm.
two, how do we get people from geographies where there's no such penetration or existence of businesses, so to say. See, Gurusharan, you are from India Post, so you're practically everywhere where there are people. There's a India Post, but especially for Parul, how do Ujjivan after the listing also has grown phenomenally well. How are you actually trying to tap up the untapped talent pool, be it for different products, be it for different geographies, and how are what are your strategies? Can you please throw some light on that?
Yeah. So I think in my view, it's very important to diversify your recruitment channel. So when I say diversifying your recruitment channel, I'm not saying I'm particularly talking about using, for instance, using your inclusive language in job descriptions, and partner with organizations that support your underrepresented groups. So to start with, we are there in urban, rural, everywhere. So one thing which we have been able to do very well is leveraging your local talent and regional diversity in expansion plan. So what we have seen here is that tier 3 and 4 cities, they offer a vast pool of skilled and ambitious individuals. And generally, we try in Ujjivan also, we try that, for instance, we have our microfinance customers, so we try to recruit people who are from the same geography, from the same community. And the only thing is that these individuals might not have the same access to resources or networks as their counterparts from tier 1 places, but then they often possess, or they often come with fresh perspective and willingness to learn. In fact, one thing which we were just discussing about tying up with the colleges, cat b, cat c, and all that. So what we have done, we have also collaborated with local colleges and universities, where we hire people. So they may not be at a high kind of highly, they're not the costly resource, but then they are slightly below them. And because they understand the geography well, they are able to, they have the specific skills which are required for the industry and all that. So we conduct recruitment drives here. Plus, additionally, from the sector point of view, apart from tying up and all that, what we can do from the sector point of view only, they can actually, offer internship, mentorship programs. What I want to highlight here is that apart from metros, if companies can actually diversify their geographic footprints by the inclusion of tier 2 and tier 3 cities at top work location, this can actually leverage your underutilized regional talent, and this can actually address workforce shortages in your traditional hubs also. So that is one way. The another thing, which I want to highlight here is that uh, sometimes I feel that women are underrepresented, not just in STEM field, but also within the BFSI, particularly the leadership role. Though we're talking about more or entry level, but then across all the levels, I feel that they're not there. And BFSI sector historically has faced challenge in attracting and retaining female talent. So there's an increased need of creating inclusive work environment by implementing policies and practices, that promote gender equality, and inclusive leadership training also. And organization can actually recruit through targeted recruitment camps. They can enforce mentorship programs. So one important thing which I want to highlight here is that Ujjivan has come up with a specialized program that call out to women to restart their career after their breaks like marriage or childbirth. So this is one very important initiative, because women generally feel that now their career cannot be restarted, but then with initiatives like that, we can actually promote and foster a more inclusive work environment, and this can help us to tap the gaps and the areas which are not fulfilled completely.
In business for women leaders, so to say.
Yeah.
Good,
Yeah.
good. Yeah. So Gurusharan, what is your? I mean, if you can summarize or throw some light
Yeah.
on the innovative strategies that you are using for tapping the untapped talent in
Yeah.
maybe the rural and distant areas. That would be great.
See, we are, kind of, see, we need, because our network across India is very, very widespread, right? And we need
Correct,
people
correct,
across the geographies. So, the one way, as I told you, we are engaging with the organizations, with various colleges. As we are
correct.
also hiring interns over there from those colleges. We have as many as 10 interns, working in one particular bank. So we are actually contributing in two ways, not only to ourselves but also to the
Society at
candidates, or I
large.
would say the students. One, we are making them employable, more employment worthy, because we are giving them some industry exposure which is not there at all in the curriculums, and they are not actually employable when they just get out of college, because they're very raw and they don't have any they don't have a head or tail of what to do in the organization once they join. And especially in the interviews also, they most of the time they'll fail because they don't know anything about anything, and especially the corporate or the work environment. So that is one. Secondly, also, out of these interns, there are many people who are our prospective joinees after they leave college or after they finish their degrees, right? That is one.
So entry level,
Secondly,
so
we
to
are
say.
yeah. Secondly, we also have a large pool of workforce in the Department of Post. There are almost 4 lakh employees. This is the second largest department after railways in India, right? The
Correct.
employer. So therefore, we also request all our bank employees to connect with the departmental employees and look for references from there. So that is also one, and it comes from all kinds of. And we are actually quite agnostic to whether it is tier 2, 3, or whatever. And and these people, I have seen that the people, those who are enthusiastic, who are career oriented, they have they stick on, so one thing is, I mean, I would say, how to retain those guys, huh? Sorry.
Correct. Actually, we are going towards the retention, and thank you so much for bringing up that important point.
Yeah.
Uh,
Hmm.
what I see is again related with attrition. We were discussing internally also that attrition generally is more likely to be common
Yeah.
phenomenon across tier 1, tier 2 cities, not necessarily in tier 3, 4 cities. So what has been your
Right.
experience? And Parul, of course, I would want your insights also on that. So let's start the
So
question. Yeah.
you're absolutely right in saying that in tier 1 and 2, because there are alternate opportunities much more.
Correct.
Therefore, the retention of talent is difficult in the tier 1 and 2. But see, my only again, my message to my team is that there have to be three or four things when somebody joins the organization. One, that the employee who joins us has to be very clear about his job role. That is one. He should not
Correct.
have any doubts ki mera kaam kya hai actually, right? What exactly is my role? Second, he should be clear about his salary and the incentive structure. That is two. Third, he should be fully trained before he's kind of let off in the in the field or in the market or in his job roles, etc., etc. So वो उसका एक बिल्कुल clear उसका एक training होना चाहिए, and then there should be hand holding, right? And then of course the kind of relationship that has to be maintained with the supervisor, how he manages him on day to day basis. That is also very very important. And the fourth and the most important, where even if I meet 100 new joinees in the field, whenever I visit the field, if I meet 100 people, 100 of them will ask us कि हमारा career क्या है, what is our future prospect in the organization. Unless and until they are clear about the future prospect and whether they have a growth prospect in the organization itself, they will not stick on with you ever. So that is very very critical. So these are the 4 5 things I always keep on insisting, and we have to give them a very very clear vision, very very clear growth path, very very clear. And because see, ultimately, Praveen, you would agree that a man is hungry for learning, right? He's always trying to learn, he's trying to improve himself. Any good guy would try to always upgrade, upskill himself, and learn more and more, and improve himself. So अगर उसको लर्निंग भी अच्छा दिखता है, अगर दूसरे ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में उसको अगर पैसा ज्यादा भी मिलेगा, 1000 2000 ज्यादा भी मिलेगा, he will not jump, he will not go there. So the work environment, one, it is very very important. Second, learning is important, career is very important, career growth path is important, his job clarity is very important. All these things are important. And as far as you would say that in the middle level or the senior level, typically the people jump. As I always say, I sometimes joke with my subordinates and people, is that people don't leave organization. They leave their bosses. Most of the time it happens sometimes, and that they have don't have a comfortable work environment or relationship in the job, and they get pissed off and then they leave. So otherwise people don't really, unless they have a very solid offer. Yeah, भाई salary भी उसका double triple हो गया, demand of the or maybe the skill that the employee is possessing is very rare in the market, and he gets very good offers and he jumps off. So those kind of things. But otherwise people, they do stick on, and we particularly are fortunate to have very low turnover, and in the organization lower than the industry average. But that is how the things go.
Parul, if you can quickly provide, your ways of retaining the talent, and especially, do you see any difference between tier 1, tier 2 versus tier 3, tier 4, or others within Ujjivan?
As Mr. Gusharan was saying, that obviously the attrition rate can be higher for metros and all, because there are enough opportunities there. But then one thing that we are doing, the employee engagement activity, while the metros have our corporate office or the regional offices, but then whatever we are doing, all the programs that we are defining or designing for regional offices are implemented, executed in our branches also. So that caters to the requirement of our tier 3 and 4 employees also. And this creates a positive culture, fostering equality. It creates strong relationship with the employees. And then we have all the programs, because in fact even in our KRA we have a considerable weightage towards learning and development, apart from our the basic roles that we are handling. So there's an ongoing upgradation of the skill set, whether it's tier 1, 2, 3 or 4, wherever the person is sitting. And we do have mentorship programs. We have structured pathways for the advancement of somebody's career, which is a competitive differentiator for us. And here I think a lot of focus and emphasis goes on your work life balance programs. So they play a critical role, because it shows empathy on employers part. So I think that way all these things have helped us to for the retention point of view, because it's not the salary component which can actually retain the talent. It's a lot of factor goes into that.
Yeah.
So,
One quick point actually, we discussed initially when we talked about the root causes of supply gap. That was the generation, different generations having different point of views about career and all. I'll just quickly, come back to you in terms of generations that we talked about. Initially you said that, there's a Gen Z and Gen Alpha, and they have a very different way of looking at career, right? Uh, do you see, again, I'm going to the tier 1, tier 2 city structure. Do you see that, all these generations, different generations can be put in one bucket, or, location wise or geography wise, there's a difference between the behavior they have, be it retention, be it employee engagement, be it, willingness to learn. How do you see, the difference between generations?
So I think I already spoke about the retention and all. I'll not speak on that again, but definitely there are a lot of things at the end. As I was concluding, like salary is not the only thing that you can actually offer to keep your employees happy. A 360-degree comprehensive benefit, it will include your flexible work arrangements. You have to get engaged in your employee engagement programs to give them break at work, create a positive environment, whether they are of any generation, because everybody needs a break, and whether they are based out of Bangalore or they are based out of Jaipur, or for that matter anywhere, any remote location. So along with that, I think a culture of appreciation is something which implemented performance based bonuses. We have a lot of rewards and recognition programs for the high performing employees here. And talking about the BFSI sector, I think catering now these days, it's not just the salary, as I'm emphasizing. A lot of finances go towards your healthcare and everything. So catering to the financial needs indirectly, you can actually give them robust healthcare plans with comprehensive health insurance coverage for their employees, the families. You can work on their retirement saving plans. ESOPs and stock options is something which is a very good program. I mean, one very good point that I have seen in Ujjivan is that starting from your entry level staff, like if I have to say from driver to the managing director of the company, everybody is eligible to get ESOPs in the company. So that way, and I've seen people building their homes through these ESOPs. And that's a real differentiator. It's not just the top management who gets it. Everywhere, whosoever works for Ujjivan is eligible, has stocks with them. So we have these vehicle loans, home loans at a very lower rates. So, and we have employee wellness programs also. We have programs that promote physical and mental well-being of these employees. We have stress management workshops. We have free doctor consultations also. So at the end, you need to invest in your employees. And Ujjivan has a learning grant also, wherein what we were discussing now, like even we can do online courses or certificates, and the company would reimburse full or some part payment depending upon the slabs that they have defined. So all these things can enhance employee satisfaction, and they, it reduce reliance solely on your salary increase. So I think that's very important. And lastly, I would say that building a strong employer brand is again very important. You need to highlight what companies values, culture, vision, what all these are. There has to be a commitment to employee growth. At the end, I need to feel satisfied that I am making a tangible difference to somebody's life. And the feeling to, if that is getting materialized, I think we can attract top talent in any location, even in competitive market.
Great. So, one great takeaway is that, you're talking about in terms of engaging and retaining employees, you have softer benefits also, such as the
Right.
insurance, and harder benefits, which could be, used in long term, such as the ESOPs. So that's a great idea. We discussed about the willingness and ability and requirement of training, because especially if we talk about the collections. So for collections especially, there are specific trainings that requirements that RBI has mandated, if I'm correct, right? So how do and what we have seen as TeamLease, we have seen is across the industry, because we work with 60 plus industries and across India. What we have seen is organizations have a willingness of hire, train, and deploy model, that is HTD, we call it in short. But the training becomes the weakest link, right? So
Hmm.
what is your experience from the BFSI industry, as well as from your own organization, that how you are you're training and making sure that your employees are trained right time and with right skill set?
Yeah. So, I was once I was reading an article on Henry Ford, okay, the founder of Ford Motors. So, as
Yeah.
his philosophy was inclined towards employee training and development, so somebody asked him once, what if we train them and they leave? To
Correct.
which he responded, what if we don't and they stay back?
Correct.
So I think my current organization also works on the similar principle. As I was saying, that they've carved out a significant budget for training and development. In fact, we have a separate dedicated vertical for this particular thing. For us, it's not the weakest link; it's one of the strongest link, I would say, that we have here. And I believe that investing in human capital will always give you good returns, because through continuous learning and development and comprehensive training programs, you equip your employees with the necessary skill set and knowledge to excel not just in their roles, but also adapt to the evolving needs of the business. All these things, I think, have helped us in employee engagement and retention, because what we have observed and seen here is that well trained employees, they are more engaged, they are more satisfied, and they are less likely to leave the organization. We have also seen significant improvement in the performance productivity of these employees, leading to higher quality of work. We've also seen reduced employee turnover, because it improves your workforce stability, and you are developing them for future roles. So and
Question. I'm sorry, I'm interrupting. One question.
yeah.
How do you ensure that your remotest employees are getting trained at the same way as your maybe tier one city employees?
Initially, the thing is that whosoever joins us, it's mandatory for that person to go through a training session, the within, I think, a month, or that HR plans it, and they plan a physical training session in the regional office or in the corporate office. So everybody travels, they stay there, they get to understand, because that's the feel good factor. Otherwise, people out of who are based out of branches, they would never get to see your regional office, and they would never get to meet the regional the leadership team also. So for the few days, it's a customized kind of training program, say for 7 days, 14 days, depending upon the role that the person is. And that's the physical training that you have. Plus we have an online platform also, wherein you publish you give there's a dashboard that comes in that whosoever has taken this training, then there are certain rewards and recognition. Also you have your scoreboard also, who is the top learner for the month and all that. So HR publishes that, and sometimes they also come with rewards and recognition. That is for individual level. Even at branch level, they recognize, for example, there's a branch in Haryana. If I say, if everybody in the branch has done the training program in the shortest span of time, they would declare them as the winner. So all these things, and I said that all our KRAs are they have built with some mandatory weightage for these trainings, and appearing for the courses and all that.
Right.
So we are actually evaluated on that.
So that's great insight. Actually, it's not just unique individual learning, but at branch level, the collective learning also, which is important. So
Yes.
I think I never heard of this kind of learning goals within the organization.
Yes.
One of the examples that I learned from one of our clients was this, that they have a dedicated team, and once they had this dedicated training program for their products and offerings, their attrition also came down and their productivity also increased. So they have a dedicated team of 200 people doing only training programs. It's not
Yeah.
outsourced, it's in-house. So that's a great insight from you also, Parul, about the impact of training programs. Just to conclude that we discussed that there are gaps, there are skill gaps. The changes are happening very fast, and the domain expertise is required because, in fact, the banking and financial services itself is adding so many products and services offerings that domain expertise becomes very important. And these are the gaps because of which there's the gap that we see between 25 to 30% open positions every month, which is what is our observation. So that's one thing. However, what is the takeaway from today's discussion? The big things that came out from today's discussion are there should be role clarity. Salary is just one aspect, it's not everything. The emphasis on training, right? The way you talked about, that way Guru Sharan talked about, I understood that training plays a huge impact and importance. And in fact, for as you as well as that is for Ujjivan as well as India Post, training is actually an asset rather than a weakest link, which is what is generally observed across industry in India, that training is the weakest link, whereas it is a strength for you people. That's a great thing. And then there are softer aspects that actually help you engage with employees and keep them and retain them in the organization. Yeah. So these are great insights for today. Thank you so much, Parul, for joining us. And it would be my pleasure to have you once again on board to have additional discussions. Thank you so much for joining.